Imagine standing face to face with the first human being. What would they look like? Would they speak like us? Would they think like us? Would you even recognize them? Most people imagine humanity beginning with a single person, one first human, one moment when an ancient ancestor stopped being something else and became human. It is a simple idea, but nature rarely works that way. The truth is stranger. There was probably no first human being, at least not in the way most people imagine. To understand why, we need to travel back millions of years, long before cities, long before farming, long before language. Our story begins in Africa, around 7 million years ago. The ancestors of humans and chimpanzees shared a common ancestor. This creature was neither human nor chimpanzee. It belonged to a population that would eventually split into different evolutionary paths. One path led to modern chimpanzees. The other eventually led to us. Evolution did not happen overnight. It never does. Every generation looked almost identical to the one before it. Parents and children could always reproduce together. There was never a baby born that suddenly became human. Think about that. Could you point to the exact moment when dawn becomes day? Not really. The change is gradual. Human evolution worked the same way. Over millions of years, tiny changes accumulated. Brains grew larger. Bodies changed shape. Hands became more capable. Walking on two legs became more efficient. Each change was small, but together they transformed a species. Scientists have discovered many ancient relatives along this journey. One of the most famous is Lucy. Lucy lived around 3.2 million years ago. She walked upright, but her brain was much smaller than yours. She was not fully human, yet she was not entirely unlike us either. This is where things become complicated. If Lucy had a child, that child would not be human. If that child had a child, still not human. The same would be true for thousands of generations, then hundreds of thousands, then millions. Eventually, somewhere in that chain, modern humans appeared. But every parent was almost identical to their child. So where do you draw the line? Who was the first human? The answer depends on what you mean by human. Many scientists classify modern humans as Homo sapiens. Our species appeared roughly 300,000 years ago. Fossils discovered in Jebel Irhoud suggest that early Homo sapiens were already living in Africa around that time. They had faces surprisingly similar to ours, but they were not exactly like modern people. Their skulls were different. Their brains were shaped differently. Evolution was still continuing. Could one of them be called the first human? Not exactly, because they came from parents who were almost the same. And those parents came from parents who were almost the same. The line remains blurry. Imagine a giant photo album. Each page shows one generation. Flip one page, almost no difference. Flip another, still almost identical. But flip through 10,000 pages. Now the changes become obvious. That is evolution. It is change without sharp boundaries. This idea can feel unsatisfying. Humans like beginnings. We like firsts. The first king, the first city, the first invention. But evolution does not provide neat starting points. Instead, it gives us gradual transitions. Biologist Richard Dawkins once described this problem using a thought experiment. Imagine walking from one country to another. Each step is tiny. No single step takes you from one nation to the next. Yet eventually, you find yourself somewhere entirely different. Species change in much the same way. So if there was no first human, Why do we exist today? Because countless generations survived long enough to have children. Every ancestor in your family line succeeded, not once, but every single time, for hundreds of thousands of years. That fact is almost impossible to comprehend. The odds are staggering. Your existence depends on an unbroken chain stretching back through history, back through Homo sapiens, back through earlier human species, back through ape-like ancestors, back through mammals, back through reptiles, back through fish, back to some of the earliest life on Earth. You are connected to all of it. Every living person is. And perhaps that is the real answer. The first human being was not a single individual standing alone. Humanity was born through a process, a slow transformation that unfolded across millions of years. No clear beginning, no sharp dividing line, just countless generations changing little by little. Until one day, a species emerged that could ask where it came from. And that may be the strangest part of all. After billions of years of evolution, the universe produced creatures capable of investigating their own origins. Creatures capable of studying fossils, mapping DNA, reconstructing ancient worlds, and wondering about the first human. So the next time you ask who the first human being was, remember this. You're not looking for one person. You're looking at a story written across millions of years, a story with no clear first page, and somehow you are one of its newest chapters.